meeting of the Dunedin City Council. Welcome to councillors, to the public, staff and the media. Our prayer today is being led by the Reverend Anne Thompson of First Church. Please stand.
Let us pray. As we pause before the business of this meeting begins, we remember those who've gone before us, the heritage we've received from them, the legacy of good government, of built environment, of community identity that has been given to us. For all this we give thanks. As we pause before the business of this meeting, we remember all who live in our city today, in Makuaiti and Strathtyre and Mosgiel and the Tyre and Saddle Hill and the Peninsula and the city itself. We consider the impact that decisions made here or not made here will have on them. We think of the diversity of our city, the passion and commitment of many to see it flourish, the different ways people in this city support one another and look out for each other, and for all this we give thanks. As we pause before the business of this meeting, we look with hope to the future of our city and think what it would look like to have opportunities for all to live well, to thrive, to develop their talents, to bring up families, to be safe and healthy and productive, to work together for the common good. As the business of this meeting begins, I pray for the councillors gathered here. May you have wisdom to govern amidst conflicting interests and issues. May you have a sense of the welfare and true needs of the people of Dunedin. May you have a keen thirst for justice and rightness. May you have confidence in what is good and fitting. May you be able to work together in harmony, even where there is honest disagreement. May you find joy in this task. All this I pray in the name of Jesus, who wept outside over a city, who died outside a city, who rose again and promises us in time the vision of a new city, the fulfillment of all things. Amen.
Kia ora. Now we'll move on to public forum, and can I invite Rodney Moore of the Forbury Parktrotting Club. Now, can I just ask, I noticed that Hannah Catchpole of the Otago Racing Club is also, do you want to do it together or? Please come up. Just wasn't sure if you're doing it individually. Welcome.
Testing.
Welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Both Hannah is the General Manager of the Otago Racing Club, and I'm the General Manager of Forbury Parktrotting Club. Perhaps the first point I'd like to make is that both Hannah and myself have been in our positions for probably less than 6 months, around 6 months. So applications for rates relief were made prior to both of us being in our current roles. So we've had to pick up the process, including the discussions had by the Grants Committee. In the case of Forbury Park, I would like to support the initiative of the Grants Committee in rolling over the rates relief for another 12 months. From a personal point of view, I think there's much bigger issues for Forbury Park in the whole context of South Dunedin. I have, off my own back, contacted Paul Coffey from the council to ask that Forbury Park be included on the agenda for public meetings. I think we've had a presence in South Dunedin since 1909. We were badly affected by the floods ourselves in 2015, and it probably cost us to the extent of $30,000 for repair damage to our track and facilities. So in our case, we're very keen to have the discussion with council on the bigger picture around South Dunedin and how that might impact on rates overall, but more importantly, I think, how Forbury Park Trotting Club can contribute to the council's vision for South Dunedin going forward. I know there was particular reference in the rates relief perhaps around racing and gambling and things, and that's another discussion for which I've spoken to John Allen as the CEO of the New Zealand Racing Board, and he'd be happy to engage with council in that regard if required. Suffice to say, obviously, that New Zealand Racing Board contribute up to 2.3 million annually to harm minimisation, and engage with the Ministry of Health around that every 3 years. So.
From our point of view, I just want to reiterate what Rodney said. We would welcome the opportunity to take the next year to engage with the council and with Forbury Park to see how we can work collectively. We obviously have differing issues because we weren't affected by the floods, but we do see ourselves as a key venue that the Dunedin public do use on a regular basis. So we would just welcome the opportunity to take more time to investigate that further. As Rodney said, we both are new to our positions, but we do appreciate it is an important issue, so that we ask the council to consider that we could be given some more time to review that and work with the council on the concerns that it may have.
Would you like to take questions?
Certainly.
Happy to take questions.
So, councillors, any questions, please? There are none? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite, there's a group of students going to address us on the night sky. I understand there's Ben Hawke, Star Riaro, Sylvia Latin, Gabe Vink, Alex Livingston and Josh Meikle. And if you'd like to come up, I'm afraid you won't all get a seat, but there's room for all of you up here, so please come up. So the floor is yours, just fire away in your own time.
Okay, so...
You might want to pull that microphone close.
We are students from various schools in Dunedin, and we have done research on light pollution, and these are our findings. So, I'll go first. I went out to various locations in Dunedin and took a light reading, and I found that the further away you got from the centre city, the better it was, and that in like the centre of like Musgill and in the Octagon, you could like only see a few key stars, like the Southern Cross, for example. And I think that Dunedin City, if they improved the light pollution, we could kind of market ourselves as a dark sky city, and it could benefit the economy quite a lot actually. And also there are health effects to not using the right streetlights.
Kia ora, my name's Alex. This year for my science fair project I did it based around how blue light emitting from a device can affect your sleep latency and the quality of our sleep. So with my project, what I found really interesting was the nights that I had a blue light in front of me, I had a much more restful and less REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement sleep, which is at the bottom of your sleep. So in the days that I had more blue light, I found that there was more time that I was in non-REM sleep, very effective of your health. And so how I found this happens because when you have blue light, we have more receptors in our eyes for blue light, which means that it suppresses the amount of melatonin release, which is a hormone released from the pineal gland that creates a drowsy feeling. So how this relates to Dunedin making the right decision and having the right lights is because the same reason if we have white LED lights that emits a blue light ray, it will affect the health of the citizens in Dunedin. So with that, I went around my school and I made a petition to show that people my age do care about our health. So I've done this petition to give to the council.
Hi, I'm Gabriel Vink from Kavanagh College. This year for my science fair project I did light pollution, and I went around various locations and took a reading around the location or through it, and I also did a transect run through the whole of Dunedin which showed that the further out of the city centre you got, the less light pollution there was and the better quality for seeing the stars. In the end, the Octagon had less light pollution, and if shields were placed on lighting outside the city centre, this would be effective due to good sky quality, especially in the case of event locations like Forbury and Logan Park.
Hello, my name is Sylvie and this is Star, and we are both students of Kavanagh College. Our science fair is about light pollution and blue light and how it affects you.
So basically the purpose of my investigation was to see how much light pollution is in Dunedin and in various places. And scientists suggest that light pollution causes a negative and deadly effect to our creatures of the world.
My science fair was on blue light more, and the main one that I thought was bad was at Lynn Street, where they're trialling the lights, because even that has a lot of blue light, even though it was trying not to have so much.
So basically what I found out is that the Octagon had most light pollution. I had tested this out in the light and in the dark, and it wasn't very much of a difference. It was only like a 2.6 difference between the light, between doing it in the light and in the dark. And
The worst one was Forbury Park for blue light, but because that isn't on so much, it wouldn't affect so much. But the one that was the main one was Lynn Street and Vogel Street.
Hi, so I'm Josh Meikle and I'm part of the Dunedin Dark Skies group. And the research that the kids here have done today, along with other research that we've been doing over the last couple of years, has shown us that the light pollution in Dunedin, there's two key aspects to it. The first is how much the light spreads out, as in how bright it is. And the second is the colour temperature of the lights that we're using. So I know that in the energy plan there has been, it looks like we're going to be shielding lights in the future, and that's a good step to ensure that there's less light pollution in terms of brightness. But the main thing that hasn't been touched on yet is the actual colour temperature of the bulbs being used. So higher colour temperature bulbs will have excess blue wavelength light, and that has major health effects, it has harmful health effects, and it has harmful effects on the environment as well as the skies. So I've got a document here that is summarising the ecological problems with blue wavelength light, and we'd like to make two main recommendations to the council on this issue. The first, that no LEDs over 2200K are used, and the second is that when rolling out these lights, you start with the less important areas in terms of sky quality. So this will be centre of town rather than the suburbs. So we hope that in future the council will be looking at this issue, particularly in terms of the colour temperature of the bulbs that we'll be using.
So are you happy to take some questions?
Yep.
Sure. Councillor Benson-Pope.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. So thank you for your presentation. So just to be really clear, and I think you've said most of it in that summary, you've got no issue with moving to LEDs per se, but you're cautioning us about the damaging health effects and the issues around the high colour temperature of the white blue LEDs.
Yes, the current lights that we have a very good colour temperature, and moving to LEDs we hope that you make a choice for lower colour temperature LEDs, as these will have less harmful health effects.
Councillor Wilson.
Thank you very much. Enlightening. And your knowledge is probably far greater than mine, which I regret. But so the problem we have is that it's really hard to buy, and I understand 2,200K LEDs at the moment. And I was intrigued with your discussion or your point that if you're going to replace them, start in the higher centre places anyway.
Yeah.
We're about to roll some out in Wingatui, which I think probably affects the two first speakers more than possibly you. But the question then, would you be saying, let's put sodium in there and replace sodium ones with LED in the centre of town?
Yes, start there before going anywhere else, so that over time there's a higher chance that you'll be able to
Reduce.
that 2,200 will be more available. And as far as I understand at the moment, you're looking at 3,000K lights, aren't you?
Mm.
Yep.
Hopefully.
And 2,700, they're reasonably available, aren't they?
Not certain on that.
Okay. Would it be possible that you'd consider looking at them as well, maybe to start off with rather than 3,000? That's another thing that we're thinking about with the rollout.
Thank you.
Councillor Colwood.
With one student that'd like to say something, is that okay?
Oh, sure.
Yep.
Don't worry. Councillor Colwood.
Do you, or any of you, know whether there is general agreement about the proposition you're making with the Dark Skies group who's been looking at it? I mean, there's a few people in
Yes,
town
there is.
looking at it, and is the same recommendation, the recommendation that you're making the same as the recommendation that everybody is making, essentially?
Yes, we'll formalise the recommendation, but yes, it is.
Councillor Vanders.
We currently have a predominance of sodium lamps. What's your understanding of the colour temperature of sodium?
So currently the low pressure sodiums, which are used in Tekapo, they are very good for colour temperature. Also high pressure sodiums are very good for colour temperature. LEDs that you're looking at the moment, they have a much higher colour temperature.
I understand that, but how many K do you understand the current sodiums?
That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure on that, but they are well under 2,700,
Well
most likely under
Right.
2,200.
So there's two questions here as I understand it. One
Yep.
of them is reflectors, getting the light to actually go down
Yes.
rather than go up. And the other one is colour temperature, which you want to get as low as possible.
Yes.
But LEDs don't give you as low a colour temperature as you'll ever get with sodiums.
They potentially could if you
In the
chose
future
low
at high
temperature
class.
ones. Yes.
Right, okay. So would you then in terms of your recommendation to us, because you've studied this, would you then be wanting us to look more closely at putting better reflectors on our existing sodiums? Or do you think we should go to the more expensive LEDs that have better reflectors already included in them?
I would recommend that, as far as I understand it, the decision has been made that you are going to be rolling out LEDs, is that correct?
Economics will certainly drive that at some point in the future, but how quickly we do it I don't think has been decided at this point.
Okay, so LEDs overall are generally cheaper to run in the long term, and also they will cost to install, but they are cheaper than installing other sodium lamps. So from an economics perspective, LEDs are better. However, the sodium lamps, they do always provide easily attainable lower colour temperature, and there are some LEDs that do have this, but they are not as readily available currently as the sodium lamps.
Thank you. Councillor McTavish.
Thank you, Bishop. Thank you guys for that presentation, and I guess I note that you've all brought your presentations with you, and just wondered, maybe this is a question for the Chief, but I wondered whether there's a way that we're all going to be in a meeting for the next little while, but whether there's a way that both the staff working on this project and perhaps councillors who will be involved in the decision could see those. Yeah, I'm not sure whether or not you need to take them away again with you, or...
Yeah, we can leave the projects here, and also we can give you an email address for further contact as well.
Super, thank you. And I guess just a second question, to follow up on your second recommendation about starting outside of the CBD. I know that we've got a very strong advocate, for example, in our museum director, who is championing the idea of having a night sky reserve out on the peninsula.
Yeah, what I meant was to start with the CBD, so start rolling out there before looking at the suburbs and peninsula. Yeah.
Thank you. I misheard you. Thanks.
Any further questions? There are none. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Can you say something?
I just wanted to say that if LEDs last longer than the sodium bulbs, then wouldn't getting LEDs be better in the long run? Because if you have sodium bulbs that you keep on having to replace, but LED bulbs that can go, say, 50 years without being replaced, would LEDs, the first quite big payment, really play out to actually be cheaper than keep replacing sodium bulbs, which could be cheaper at the start?
Any questions? Thank you very much.